And on today's show, how to recognize and master the powerful forces holding advisors from real success. Part 2 of this week's series, The Psychology of the Smart Advisor, with personal performance expert and money psychologist, Dr. Jack Singer. Hi everyone, I'm Steve Savant, syndicated financial columnist and contributing author to Backroom Technician in Innsbruck. Let's get down to business. Well, welcome to the day 2, Dr. Jack.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Well, if you missed yesterday's episode, I want you to hop back out and watch it because I think it kind of lays the groundwork of where we're going to go today. I'm thinking yesterday we ended the second segment talking about 55,000 negative thoughts, right?
In a day.
In a day.
Right.
And I'm thinking, well, I don't want those thoughts. How did they get in there?
Well, you know, there's some interesting research on this that shows that from the time we're very little, well-meaning but misinformed parents and other authorities in our lives have planted the seeds of these negative thoughts. For example, let's say you wanted to go out for the football team, or you wanted to go out for a dance group if you're a female, for example, but one of your parents discouraged you because they don't want you to be embarrassed. They don't think you're that good an athlete. By trying to be kind to you and saying, you know, I don't really think that you're going to make the team and you'll just be embarrassed, or don't try for the homecoming queen or king because I've seen some other people at your school. These things where the parents ostensibly think they're helping their child, in effect are planting negative seeds of lack of self-confidence, which is what happens. The subconscious mind is like a beautiful garden. It's supposed to be planted with flowers, but these people put weeds in there. And then what makes it worse is unless we learn otherwise by getting help from somebody, we start watering and fertilizing those weeds ourselves by repeating the stuff. I better not do this.
Now, some of this is in your new book, right?
It's all in there. It's all in there.
It's all in here. And then the Financial Advisor's Ultimate Stress Mastery Guide, which you can pick up off of Amazon or right out of Dr. Jack's website.
Yeah.
Doctor, I'm looking at the real cause for your stress, your self-talk. I mean, we're just talking about some of this now. I had a hard time. The first time you told me about this, I caught myself walking through this, honestly.
Good.
I'm just being honest.
Good.
I saw events in my life, and I thought they were my problem. But I heard you say it's the interpretation of those events.
Yes, events are neutral. Let me give you an example. Let's say, well, here's an example that actually happened. It's pouring today, and I didn't know if I would get to the studio to see my friend Steve and do the show. That's a neutral event. But if I said to myself, oh my goodness, if I can't do the show, that's horrible. Steve's counting on me. He's got the airtime. Something bad's going to happen. He'll never want me back. That would have caused a lot of stress for me. But if I looked at the same event and said, hey, it's pouring, the streets are blocked, I can't do anything about it, so why am I fretting about it? I will simply explain and we'll make another appointment. Same event, no stress. It's always how you interpret what's going on. Now, the gentleman you talked about who made $750,000 in premium and then went to $300,000, a lot of people would say, gee, I'd be happy with $300,000. But he's looking at it relatively. How's he interpreting that event? I must be failing. If he was looking at it as if, okay, it's a down market for everybody and I'm still making a nice living, no stress.
We are really that way, though. I mean, I'm just to confess to you that I think we're creatures of such behavior. Yes, we totally equated that as failure.
Right.
It's half my production.
Right.
I must not be a producer.
Right. And think about an athlete on a professional football team, for example. Let's say he made 1,000 yards the year before, and the next year he gets 700 yards. Is that failing? He's still helping his team win a lot of games, but he's just looking at everything relative to what he did before and painting a big black cloud over it as if that's failure. And that's the part of the distorted thinking that goes on here.
Well, as a producer, I think it's really true, and I can see this totally in light of what you're saying in my own life. Our self-worth is tied up in this net worth of statistics. What did I do last year? I'm really short this year.
Right.
My self-worth must be, I'm not as good as I used to be. I'm losing my edge. All these things that I'm telling myself.
Exactly. And it brings me to another topic, actually, which fits right in. When you're thinking about the numbers, then you're focused on the outcome instead of the process that it takes to get that outcome. Let's look at a baseball player, for example. Gets into the batter's box. If he is thinking about the outcome, like I need to move the runner over, or I need to get a hit, or I need to keep it alive this inning, then he is not focused on what he needs to do that. The process is, where do my feet go? How is my breathing? Am I looking for the release point from the pitcher? What do I know about this pitcher? Where is the catcher moving? That's how you put yourself in the best position to have the numbers come out good. Same thing with an advisor. If he's only looking at the numbers, He's not focused on what it takes to get that numbers, and active listening is part of that, and several other skills.
When we're thinking about some of these things as advisors, the last thing I want to do is then, if I haven't corrected this, I feel like I'm going to inadvertently impose this on my client.
Right, you are, because you will be doing what you don't really want to do. First of all, think about the client for a minute. The client has probably been with other advisors, other producers, and maybe had a negative experience. You don't want to replicate that for this client. This client needs to know that you are someone different that genuinely, and I underline that, cares about their welfare, the welfare of their family, the welfare of their children and grandchildren, and you are going to cite examples of how you've helped people with exactly the same situation to be happy and to feel secure. That may be very different than anyone they've ever talked to before who just tried to ram a product down their throat.
We come back from the break, we're going to talk about how to master these powerful forces, because that's the game. We're identifying it in this segment.
Yes.
Let's see if we can bring resolution in the second segment.
Perfect.
It's not how much money you make for your clients, it's how much money they get to keep, especially in retirement. But retirement income could cause Social Security benefits to be taxed. One tax advantage alternative is life insurance designed as a non-modified endowment contract that can generate tax-free income without taxing Social Security benefits. These contracts offer differing funding options depending upon your client's risk tolerance. For more information on how life insurance can be part of your retirement planning, just email me at steve@downtobusiness.tv. Brought to you by Ash Brokerage, the practice enhancement company. Welcome back to the second segment. Of course, I'm with Dr. Jack Singer. Have Couch Will Travel. I need the shrink. I need to read this book. Many of the things we're talking about is in his book now, The Financial Advisor's Ultimate Stress Mastery Guide. You can get it on Amazon.com, or you can order it right off of Dr. Jack's site. Okay, well, I just went through my pathology. I've identified all my hassles. Let's see if we can fix some of this.
Yeah, let me give your listeners and viewers a really simple but extremely powerful technique. A technique that I not only teach to advisors, but to every elite athlete I've ever worked with, and it works like a charm. You get yourself a rubber band. Number 64 is the kind that comes in your mail. It's a fat rubber band. It doesn't fit tight on your wrist. And there's a three-part sequence here. As soon as you recognize you're into a negative thinking pattern, you could be on your way to the office and you start thinking, what if my boss is upset at me because of this? Before you let the thought continue, you snap the rubber band hard enough to get your attention, and it'll stop the thought. Step 2, once you've stopped the thought, is you do what we called centering breathing. You breathe in through your nose to the count of 4, you hold it for 4, and then you exhale to the count of 7. So it's 15 seconds altogether. Do a couple of those. That kind of breathing, big inhale through your nose, hold it, big exhale, everything out through your mouth. That kind of breathing relaxes the body. So now you've stopped the negative thought, you've relaxed the body. Step 3, a counterpunch thought that is rational. It doesn't matter what my boss says or what my manager says. I now know how to deal with this manager using active listening. Or I understand what I did wrong. I know how to fix it. Or I can't always do everything that pleases everybody. I'm just going to do the best I can. So some kind of counterpunching thought that you start to develop as a habit to take the place of those negative thoughts that you've been using.
Now, when you started introducing to professional athletes this little 3-step process, did they kind of think that this was a little bit of a
Sure they
hokey?
do. They think it's hokey in the beginning, and I cite other cases. I don't give them names because of confidentiality, but I tell them about world champions I've worked with who said that was the most miraculous thing they learned from any of their coaches. And when you say that, it's like you telling a story about another client that you helped with a product who had the exact same problem. It resonates with them and they want to try it.
Well, I'm thinking about how that, I'm trying to interrupt. As you said, my first thing is to stop the thought.
Right.
I finally recognize that it's playing in there, and I'm not going to allow it. I'm going to take it captive.
Right.
I'm going to take it captive.
Right.
Then this thing about center breathing, I didn't really realize it until you just said this. I mean, so our proper breathing has a lot to do with relaxing our system, our overall physiology.
It does. Steve, if you put your hands over your stomach and you take a couple of deep breaths, most of the people watching this show, when they do that, their hands will not move. Their shoulders will move up and down. That is shallow breathing. It's stress-causing breathing. It means you're not breathing through your diaphragm, which sits behind your stomach. Proper breathing, when you inhale, your hands move out, and when you exhale, your hands come back in. Doing the breathing method I just mentioned, in through your nose, hold it for 4, and then out through your mouth, will teach you to do the proper kind of breathing.
Now, in counter thought, I'm trying to think about this counterpunch thinking. I love it. It sounds so athletic. I'm kind of amazed. Now, well, let's say I understand number 1. I understand number 2. I'm trying to defeat negative thoughts. But now I maybe don't have a stack of good counterpunch thoughts.
Excellent point. You know, one of the impressive things about you, Steve, there's so many impressive things, but just on the fly, you come up with these sophisticated questions. I know you don't have it in your notes because we never talked about this, so you just flew this one right at me.
I'll take it.
It's terrific. Okay, so here's the deal. You can simply say this to yourself, even if you don't have another thought. Do I have any evidence to support the thing I'm afraid of that's going to happen, like I'm going out of business? Have I been down this road before and did I succeed? Yes, okay. What are the probabilities that the thing I'm really upset about are going to happen? Most of the time it's very small probability. We tend to overreact to that as if there's 100%. It's like the person who becomes frightened to get on an airplane because if they think about it, they think there's a 100% chance the plane will crash. Well, what are the real probabilities the plane will crash? Minuscule. So when you start asking yourself those questions, you don't have to have counterpunch thoughts right away, but that will lead to counterpunch thoughts.
In part of your assisting other advisors, as you've done with athletes, you actually can walk them through some of these basic counterpunch thinking.
Absolutely.
I'm thinking, I think of that old acronym. I think you told it to me, Doc. I think it was yours. False evidence is appearing real.
Yeah, F-E-A-R, false evidence appearing real. What a good memory you have. It's got to be 2 years since we said. False evidence.
Stuck with me.
Yes, because about 90% of the things that people are afraid of are things that are very unlikely to happen. But you don't know that unless someone talks to you about it. In your mind, you think there's a 100% chance it'll happen.
All right, now we've gotten past it is an unwarranted fear. Even we're buying it now.
Right.
Okay, got that.
Right.
And now we're talking about, hey, look, what are the real supporting evidences? There isn't any. Now I want to say, okay, I've been down this road. Do I have any repetitive life events that actually have proven to me, hey, I've done this before, I've been through this situation, it wasn't anywhere near as bad after I got on the other side.
That's exactly right. You look at obstacles like an athlete looks at obstacles. They're temporary, they can be overcome, they're not overwhelming.
I really like this idea that you talk about in trying to maintain peak performance by keeping the negativity out of your head.
If you don't get the negativity out of your head, you will never perform up to your capability. It's that simple. If you look at 2 Olympic athletes, say they're track people, their times are the best in the world and they may be 100th of a second apart. What makes the difference between the one who comes in first and second is negative thinking. If that person's getting in the starting blocks and looking over and, oh, this is the guy I have to run next to, what if I can't draft off him? Any what if statement, then you've had it, because here's the physiology of it. Do we have time to talk about the physiology of it a little bit?
We can save it for tomorrow.
Okay, let's save it for tomorrow, and I'll tell you exactly why negative thoughts lead to poor production.
Well, that's all the time we have for today's show. Remember, before moving forward with any of the ideas on our show, always consult your tax advisor, legal counsel, or your broker-dealer compliance department. Missed an episode? Just hop out to our video archives. And remember, you could be wiser as an educated advisor. I'm Steve Savant. We'll see you tomorrow.